Good morning, MSS2 students. After the first lecture on biosafety levels 1 and 2 in the laboratories, we are moving forward towards biosafety levels 3 and 4 in microbiology laboratories as well as in the research laboratories which are being carried out throughout the country. So, in that context, we are moving forward towards what are the regulations and the specifications regarding working in the biosafety level 3 and 4 laboratories, which are also called as BSL 3 as well as BSL 4. Let's move towards the next slide, that is biosafety level 3, which is nothing but working in high containment zones. Now the first question which arises in our mind regarding the high containment zones is that whether we are working in the high containment zones of COVID-19. But that doesn't mean that we are working in high containment zones of COVID-19, but it is applicable to clinical diagnostic as well as teaching, research or production facilities where work is performed with indigenous or exotic agents that may cause serious or potential lethal diseases through inhalation route exposure. Now, in BSL 3, the primary hazards which we get is about the needle sticks, ingestion, exposure to infectious aerosols, and the treatment may or may not exist. It is same as that of the COVID-19 outbreak. The laboratory personnel must receive specific training in handling pathogenic as well as potentially lethal agents. The personnel must be supervised by scientists competent in handling infectious agents as well as associated procedures. The figure or the image which you are seeing at the right side is a person same resembling the person who is working in the COVID-19 laboratory, which we see every day in the news channels as well as the various channels of YouTube as well as Facebook. That the person is covered with the goggle, with the face shield, with the PP kit, personal protective equipment, which is also called as PPE. The biosafety level 2 plus, all procedures involving the manipulation of infectious materials must be conducted with BSCs. BSCs means what? Biosafety or other physical containment devices. The personnel should wear additional appropriate personal protective equipment including respiratory protection as determined by risk assessment. As well as a BSL 3 laboratory has special engineering and design features, and the first thing which is present in the biosafety level 3 or BSL 3 laboratories is that there should be directional airflow which is passing through the basic safety or the biosafety equipments which are present over there, that is a laminar airflow. Now What are the practices and procedures which are being equipped in the BSL-3 laboratories? First is the standard practices which includes BSL-2 plus, then strictly controlled access to the lab, specific training for laboratory personnel in handling potential lethal agents, then decontaminating all waste, changing contaminated protective lab clothing, decontaminating lab clothing before laundering, daily decontamination upon completion of the experiment after spill of the what spill of the culture or any other liquid on the PP kits, then autoclaving required and waste which is disposed at the end of the day, required foot activated hand washing sink and controls, no sharp unless absolutely necessary. Means what? Sharp equipments are not allowed in the BSL-3 laboratories unless utmost necessity. Then aerosol minimization procedures which are required. After that, wrap around disposable clothing is required. Then specialized equipment may be required depending upon the procedures. If you can see in the right side of the figure at the first top, that the personnel is applying pressure on the legs, on the foot, so that the sink can open the tap. The tap is not opened with the help of the hand to minimize infection from the hand to hand to the personnel. Now the BSL-3 practice and procedure which is to be continued, there should be a compulsory biohazard sign and label which is being posted on the doors. Then airflow from low hazard to high hazard, pressure mapping. Then bench top work should not be permitted in the laboratories of BSL-3. Documented training and personnel competency certification for the BSL-3 lab procedures. Baseline serology should be applied. Spills, report immediately and treat accordingly. Vaccinations post exposure protocols should be followed. SOPs should be followed. Biosafety manual should be incorporated in the laboratories and biosafety officers should be appointed. Then next is biohazard signs and labels posted into the laboratory. Airflow from low hazard to high hazard pressure should be mapped. Benchtop work should not be permitted. Documented training and personnel competency certification should be provided for BSL-3 procedures. Then baseline serology should be there. Spills report immediately and treat accordingly. Vaccinations post exposure protocols SOPs should be followed. Biosafety manual and the biosafety officer should be appointed over there. In the risk group 3 agents or in the biosafety level 3 laboratories, which are the microorganisms which are permitted into the work? That is SARS, severe acute respiratory syndrome virus, Rift Valley fever, human immunodeficiency virus, that is HIV, yellow fever virus, VEE virus, hantavirus, prions are permitted in primary cause. Mycobacterium tuberculosis, Mycobacterium bovis, then Coxiella burnetii, then Francisella turiensis, Bordetella abortus, Bacillus anthracis, Pasteurella multicoda, Yersinia pestis, Coccidioides immutis, Plasmodium, Trypanosoma are permitted into the BSL-3 laboratories. No parasitic agents are allowed. In the BSL-3 containment overviews, we can see that RG3 means that the risk group 3 agents which are involved are the associated with serious or potentially lethal disease in humans practices. BSL-2 plus controlled access should be there. Primary barrier, safety equipment, biological safety cabinet, and personal protective equipment required similar to BSL-2 should be permitted. Respiratory equipment, if risk of infection through inhalation, then secondary barrier facilities, all BSL-2 barriers with access through self-closing double doors, corridors separated from direct access to the laboratories, single pass negative directional airflow, air handling systems to ensure negative airflow into bracket air flows into the lab should be not permitted. Air pumped into lab not recirculated in the building. This is the overview of BSL-3 laboratories, which ensures that no rough surfaces are permitted into the laboratories and it should be housekept very well. The personnel at the downstairs is quite sure that she has wore the PPE kit along with the PPE footwears and she is working in a very sophisticated environment. In the biosafety level 3 laboratories, you can see that the personnel is allowed to go through a two-door system where first the person is allowed to enter inside and the air shower is being poured on it and then the person is allowed to go into the laboratory and there are special containment zones in it. In the BSL-3 laboratories, you can see that the personnel has always been incorporated with special containment zones for centrifugation or for washing of the equipments and for incubating the material in the laboratory. In the biosafety level 4, it is required for work with dangerous and exotic agents that pose a high individual risk of life threatening diseases, aerosol transmission, or related agent with unknown risk of transmission. These are the agents with a close or identical antigenic relationship to agents requiring biosafety level 4 containment must be handled at this level until sufficient data are obtained either to confirm continued work at this level or designate the level. These laboratories are specially designed to work on dangerous and exotic agents of domains of microorganisms. These are life threatening diseases. There are no known treatment available for such microorganisms. Aerosol transmission or mucous membrane exposure, accidental, accidental prick is prohibited in such laboratories. Laboratory staff must have specific and thorough training in handling extremely hazardous infectious agents. Laboratory staff must understand the primary and secondary containment functions of the standard and special practices, containment equipments, as well as laboratory design characteristics of the BSL 4. All laboratory staff and supervisors must be competent in handling agents and procedures requiring for biosafety level 4 containment zones. The access to the laboratory is controlled by the laboratory supervisor in accordance with institutional policies. Now we'll see biosafety level 4, which is working in high containment zones, to be continued. It means that maximum containment facilities are available in the laboratories. It should build an BSL 3 or advanced biosafety level 3 practices. The standard practices include BSL 3 plus strictly controlled access to the laboratory. It should change clothing before entering and exiting laboratory, showering upon exiting recommended. Chemical decontamination showers should be completely used while exiting the laboratory. Decontaminating all materials exiting facility should be provided. Liquid effluent collection as well as decontamination should be provided in BSL 4 laboratories. Personnel must receive special training in handling extremely dangerous infectious agents, the containment equipment, and the functions. The immunocompromised persons are never allowed to enter into the laboratory. Two types of laboratory providing absolute separation of the worker from the infectious agents. Then it should suit the laboratory and it should cabinet the laboratory. Pressurized containment should be provided. BSL 3 plus Class 3 biosafety cabinets should be provided in BSL 4 laboratories. High safety animal disease laboratory, which is present in Bhopal, that is Veterinary Research Institute, is there in our laboratory. Now, which are the viruses or the microorganisms which are allowed in risk group 4 agent? Ebola, hemorrhagic fever virus, Marburg virus, Lassa fever virus, Machupo virus, Crimean Congo hemorrhagic viruses, Bolivian and Argentine hemorrhagic fever viruses, some encephalitis viruses, herpes viruses, simi, are allowed in risk group 4 agents. No bacterial agents, no fungal agents, as well as no parasitic agents are allowed in the risk group 4 agents. In the risk group 4 agents, they are associated with high risk of life threatening diseases in human as well as animals. The practices include BSL 3 plus controlled access. The premier barrier includes the safety equipments such as biological safety cabinet, full body air supplied with positive pressure personnel suit. Secondary barriers include BSL 3 plus dedicated air and exhaust, decontamination procedures for exit, separate buildings, as well as a recommended absence of windows or sealed and resistant to breakage. This is the biosafety level 4 laboratory where you can ensure that the person is entering through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 doors. Okay, and along with that, when it goes inside, the air which is inhaled or exhaled by the person is being incinerated and then it is exposed to the outer environment. In the CDC or the NIH guidelines, biosafety levels which are being outgrowth by the CDC government, in the BSL 1 laboratory there are very low risk factors. In BSL 2 there are slightly risk factors, and the BSL 3 there are high risk factors. And if you can see in the fourth, that is animal biosafety level 4, in working in high containment zones, the microorganisms are not allowed to enter into the test organisms as well as the test animals. Now the biosafety level summary. We can see in the BSL 1, not known inconsistently cause diseases in healthy adults. The practices are the standard microbiological practices. The primary barriers and the safety equipments are non-required, and the facilities are open bench and is required. In BSL-2, the agents associated with human disease routes of transmission includes the percutaneous injury, ingestion, mucous membrane exposure. Then the practices are BSL-1 practice 1 plus limited access plus biohazard warning signs plus sharps are prevented. Biosafety manual defining say needle based decontamination or medical surveillance policies, and the primary barriers and the safety equipments include the primary barriers are the class 1 RBS2 biosafety cabinets or other physical containment devices used for all manipulations of agents that cause splashes or aerosols of infectious materials. The PPE kits are compulsory. Laboratory coats such as gloves, face protection are needed. Now the facilities are BSL 1 plus autoclave available should be there. In the BSL 3, indigenous or exotic agents with potential for aerosol transmission. Disease may have serious or lethal consequences. BSL 2 practice plus controlled access, decontamination of all waste, decontamination of laboratory clothing before laundering, baseline serum should be involved. Primary barriers or secondary barriers includes class 1 or class 2 biosafety cabinets or other physical containment devices used for all open manipulation of agents or the PPEs, plus protective laboratory clothing such as gloves, respiratory protection are needed. Facilities required are physical and preparation separation from access corridors plus self closing door, double door access, exhaust air not recirculated plus negative airflow into laboratory is prohibited. In the BSL-4, which is very dangerous, that is dangerous or exotic agents which pose high risk of life-threatening diseases, aerosol transmitted laboratory infectious have occurred, or related agents with unknown risk or transmission. The practices involved are the practices of BSL 3 plus clothing change before entering into the laboratory, shower on exit, all material decontaminated on exit from facility. The primary barriers and the safety equipment which are required are all procedures conducted in class 3 biosafety cabinets or class 1 or class 2 biosafety cabinets in combination with full body air supplied positive pressure personnel suits. And the facilities that is secondary barriers are the BSA 3 plus separate building or isolated zone plus dedicated supply and exhaust vacuum and decontamination systems. Other requirements outlined in the text. The risk groups and the biosafety levels which are present over there. In the risk group 1, these are the basic biosafety level 1, that is basic risk teaching as well as research. The laboratory practices are the GMTs, that is general microbiological techniques, or it can be also called as good microbiological techniques. Safety equipment none, open bench work should be there. In biosafety level 2, primary health services, diagnostic services, research laboratories, good microbiological techniques plus protective clothing and the biohazard sign should be provided. Accordingly, safety equipment should be open bench plus biosafety cabinets for aerosols, which has been provided by WHO as well as NIH. In this group 3, the containment's biosafety level 3, that is, the laboratory type should be special diagnostics services as well as the research laboratories. It should be containing the level 2 plus special clothing, access control, directed airflow. Safety equipment should include the biosafety cabinets and other primary devices for all of the activities. The maximum containment, that is the biosafety level 4 or the BSL 4, it can includes the dangerous pathogenic units as well as the laboratory practice should be level 3 plus airlock entry, shower exit, special waste disposal plant should be there. It should contain the safety equipments including the biosafety cabinets class 3 or positive pressure suits with class 2 biosafety cabinets double ended autoclave. Now, after seeing all these things, we should know what is biocontainment. It is the principle of holding or being capable of holding or including within a fixed limit or area. It should prevent the unintentional release of biological agents through a combination of laboratory practices, containment equipment, that is the primary barrier, and the laboratory facility design, that is the secondary barrier. This is the map of ventilation equipment which contains the classes and the types. In the ventilation equipment, you can see there are four types. There is the chemical hood, which contains the fume, biological safety cabinets, isolators, as well as the clean benches. In the biological safety cabinet, you can see the three types: class 1, class 2, class 3. In the class 1, it contains the BSCs as well as the class 2 and class 3, it also contains the BSCs. That is the biosafety cabinets. In the class 2 biosafety cabinets, there are again four types. There is the class 2 type A1 biosafety cabinets, then class 2 type A2 biosafety cabinets, then class 2 type B1 biosafety cabinets, and class 2 type B2 biosafety cabinets. Now the first, that is the chemical fume hood. It offers only personal protection. It does not offer protection to the product or the environment as there is no filtration of intake and exhaust air. It always exhausts air to the outside. It do draws contaminations in the laboratory air directly over the product being worked on. It is used for work with chemical hazards 100 ppm phase velocity. This is the fume hood which keeps hood clean. Sash should be closed when hood is not in use. Equipment should be 9 inches from slash. Next is the clean bench laminar flow hoods. It provides the product protection only. Product protection is provided by creating an unidirectional airflow generated through a HEPA filter, high efficiency particulate air filter. It is a discharge air goes directly into the workroom. The applications of clean bench is that any application where the product is not hazardous but must be kept contaminant free. The preparation of non-hazardous intravenous mixtures and media should be there. Particulate free assembly of sterile equipment and electronic devices should be provided. It should eliminate clean blanch in the contaminant laboratory. Now the biological safety cabinets. The biological safety cabinets or the BSCs, it should primarily means of contaminant developed for working safely with infectious microorganisms. It is designed to contain biological hazards. It should supply air HEPA filter for product protection, except the class 1. Then it should provide inward airflow for personal protection. It should provide HEPA filtered exhaust air for environmental protection. It should provide separated into classes and types: class 1, class 2, type A1, A2, type B1, B2, class 3. It should also provide microbiological studies cell cultures, pharmaceutical research, etc. This is the biological or biosafety cabinet we should remove unnecessary objects. We should keep grill at front of cabinet unobstructed. In the class 3 BSCs, it should use for work with microbiological agents assigned to biosafety level 4. It should provide maximum protection to personnel and environment. It should generally only be installed in maximal containment laboratories. The enclosure is gas tight and all materials enter and through a chemical dunk tank or pass through box. It should contain class 3 BSCs may be connected to a double door autoclave. It should contain heavy duty rubber gloves attached to the front prevent direct contact with the materials. It should supply air in HEPA filtered and exhaust air is doubled air HEPA filtered. Airflow is maintained by a dedicated exhaust system exterior to the cabinet. It should keep cabinet interior under negative pressure. These custom built cabinets often attach into a line and the lab equipment inside is usually custom built as well. The applications of the class 3 biosafety cabinets are working with high risk agents. It should design with working with highly infectious or hazardous experimental materials. It should working with emerging diseases. It works with the diseases that are near eradication. It should work with the weighing and diluting chemical carcinogens. This is a class 3 front view as well as the side view where the person is working inside the laboratory. Okay, the biological safety cabinet certification is the done first certification after purchasing the equipment, and after that every year, that is annually, it is done when it is moved, when filter is changed, when repaired or modified. Okay, and the certification is paid by the researcher. Now the biosafety cabinets operating procedures: ready work area, pre-distinct disinfect, assemble material should be there, pre-purge cabinet should be there, and prepare the self non-protective clothing should be there along with it. The do procedures should do not remove hands from workspaces until procedures are complete and all critical material is secured. We have to remove the gloves into contaminated material container. Other procedures include the post-purge cabinet, finish personally, post-disinfect, and the shutdown cabinet. Safe work practices which are included for biosafety cabinets are: do not use the top of the cabinet for storage. Make sure the cabinet is level in the level. Never disengage the alarm. Never completely close the window sash with the motor running, as this condition may cause motor burnout. Cabinets should be placed away from the doors, windows, vents, or high traffic areas to reduce air turbulence. For BSCs without fixed exhaust, the cabinet exhaust should have a 12-inch clearance from the ceiling for proper exhaust of the airflow. We should never incorporate or operate a cabinet with a warning light or alarm is on. The operator should be seated with shoulder level with the bottom of the sash. We should always perform all work using a limited number of slow movements. We have to try to minimize entering and exiting your arms from the cabinet. But if you need to, do it directly, straight out, and slowly. Keep all the materials at least 4 inches inside the sash opening. If a Bunsen burner is needed, we have to place it at the rear of the work area where the air turbulence from the flame will have the least possible effect on the air stream. All equipment which has come in contact with the biological agent should be decontaminated. After all items have been removed, wipe the interior surfaces with disinfectant. All cabinets must be certified with first install and then annually. It must be recertified anytime it is moved, even within the same room. Before certification, personnel arrive, remove all items from the cabinet and wipe it down with a disinfectant. This will expedite the certification. Any decontaminations, certifications, repairs, or adjustments are to be made by qualified personnel. Thank you. After filling or after watching this video, you have to fill up the Google form which ensures your presentee. Thank you very much.